There's by the pool, and it was very still. I'll call you back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? And welcome to Tommy, new supporter. Thank you so very much for joining us. Can we get a quick sound check from the live chat, please? I thought we'd bring it out to the pink moon. There's a pink moon outside tonight, and I thought I'd bring you out to the swimming pool. Nice and fresh, beautiful sunny day, and I'm going to get Claire, cocktails, yeah? Everybody having a cocktail? ELF, Steve, the last true Gail. Noreen Lanigan, yeah, you're in for it. What's that? A mojito, yeah. Mojito, Claire. Girls, she's all want mojitos, yeah. Streaky Bacon, James Collins, Steve O'Kane. Absolutely. Logan Walker joins us this evening for tonight's call of the show. Happy Lou. Tommy became a member. Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much for joining in. Who elected Bill Gates as POTUS? Where will we go? What shall we do? How shall we get into this? Okay. I have been doing a little bit more swimming and surveilling of 5G, all things. I think somebody will pick it up eventually. If you read the live chat, a lot of gobsmacked in there. But look, it's too warm to be sat inside. It's very echoey downstairs in the downstairs the cinema. So I thought we'd head out here and sit on the veranda and just watch the sunset going down. I'm good, Dowie78. How are you? Sean O'Riordan, how are you, sir? Thank you for joining me. Richard McGevitt, 5x5 in a bus. Brendan. Hey, JGTT. Cyber Crusader, how are you? Bungle says, lovely views, GT. Yes, I thought so, sir. We picked it up for a snap. It was an absolute snap. I've seen it already, Steve, and I'll probably have a look at it later on in the with the RT reporting on. And if it's what I said, I think earlier on this morning, or maybe last night, causation, causality, two different charts aligning in the same trajectory, but having completely nothing to do with each other. We are going to talk on 5G. We are going to read a couple of reports from scientists for fiber. And all things being 5G at the moment being the topic of discussion. It's what's known in the terminology as the last mile. It's the last amount on the spectrum that businesses, corporations can use for increased demand on capacity on the lines. And because infrastructure changes to stick it down on the line via wired technology, I think they said it's 250,000 a mile or something like that. This is the corporations and the communication companies, all the big boys. And it sits hand in glove with governments' want and need for surveillance to reduce demand load, but they are going to roll out cybernet, of course, because it'll take the burden off. It'll take the burden off government, and it'll be automated fines, charges in the future. Now we're talking a generation now. But while the 5G is being installed, and while all of us are startled in the headlights of 1984, this is being pushed out under the behest, I would imagine, of government, obviously, because it's only under a test. But look, I've always repeated that. So before we get into today, let's join in with the live chat and shout out Metal Celt D5 channel member Malibu on the north side, William Clark, Stephen O'Kane, Shamrock 66, Siobhan Murphy, John Francis, Streaky Bacon, Doug Tuis, Terry, Dowie 78, it's all a bit wishy-washy, Max Trax, Katie McKay, What's Wrong With Our Skies, Michael Murphy, Logan Walker, Anne Chandler, channel member, Eunice Ingabanga, in Gangbang, Nikki Wright, Petru, Bungle, and Pepe, channel member Pepe Owadawake Awan, Keith Dalton, also in the house. Welcome, channel members. Welcome to tonight's. So first of all, let's touch in with a little bit of humor, a little bit of way, a little bit of woe. So chaps are finding more and more inventive ways to share and be around each other during these difficult times. Let me bring up the share screen. During these difficult times, and to keep the 2 meter rule or the at least arm's length distance sharing separation. Let's bring this up here. I thought this was clever. This is the way around for choosing each other with the beers by the barbecue.
Yes, right.
Cracking. Okay, you know what I should do? I should drop that off. It's quicker. Yeah, very clever, very ingenious usage of wooden. So I want to go over next of all. Quick report from, I think it's probably in the States, but it's a human interest story, and I think it's fantastic. It seems with all the decrease in traffic to the zoos, it says pandas at an empty zoo under coronavirus quarantine finally bonded after 10 years together. So now we know what's needed. It's absolute isolation for pandas to get it on. They just need to be left alone by themselves and they'll get busy. Constant interruption. And I'm sure they're paranoid to bits about the constant surveillance. The poor chap under a lot of pressure. Are we making a movie here? What? Can you just give us a bit of peace? 10 years on. Let's get it on. Oh, let's get it on. Well done, the pandas. More ingenious ways. Great piece of art here. Oh, do come along, Smithers. Great piece of art here from the one and only Ben Garrison. I'm sure you've all seen. Numerous articles, especially for William Gates. He the main donor for the World Health Organization, who are led by a part-time terrorist. And they're already calling for his resignation. So it's problem, solution, reaction. They've introduced the problem. They've covered the solution, or they've seen the reaction from the public, and now they are offering the solution. Hegelian dialect in your face. Bill Gates all day long. Who made him the vaccine czar? I will not be getting a vaccine. Mandatory or not. I'll be on the run. I fought the law and the law won. How many of you have seen this from Ben Garrison earlier on today? Thank you, government, for protecting me from the flu by completely destroying my livelihood, my job, my income, my marriage, my family, my health, and my freedoms and the liberties. Thanks a lot. Absolutely. CCP are massive donors. Mr. Burns, a.k.a. Jacob Rothschild. I haven't seen that name in the live chat for a while. Let us party on down over here. Now, we spoke, or you have spoke and asked for strategies in getting around in your movements in your daily life so that your freedom should not be impinged. One solution proffered by a Twitter handle to me earlier on today, and I thought it may be worth a view on first inspection. There's nothing wrong with a strongly worded postcard. And I offer this. Well, let's see if you can read it. I'll leave that up there for your perusal. Have a read through. A boot in my face, pretty much. Susie Kiltard. I saw talking high all that. There's an Irish bollocks at that. Yeah, I've seen him as well, Tom Foran. Yeah, we're all gonna life is just gonna change. We're not gonna get back to normal life, and the crowds are just out of it unless you've all had your tattooed stamp and your microchip implant. And by the way, we're coming up with this app, and you must leave your phone on at all times so that we can track for your health. It's purely for your own protection. So what you're telling me, government, is if I give up my precious liberties, you'll keep me safe.
Indeed. That's exactly what we want to do.
Okay, Governor. I'll do it. Will I? All right. Right. Obviously, writing a strongly worded letter is a suggestion there. Obviously, make your feelings known if that's a route you choose. But also, look, I thought this was very informative as well. This by another great patriot. Don't know his politics, don't know what he's about, but he's challenging the system. And let's see how he got on. from today. And you can see the quick transition skills that I have to bring these different video opportunities to you. It's silky smooth. It's money well spent. I'm telling you, your money well spent on these silky transitions as I bring them in for you. Boom. Boom. Tell me what you think and have a listen in. Have a listen in and take notes. Stand easy. Let's set the rank.
How's it going? You well? Coming from Cabra. Cabra.
Going where?
Just going for a spin.
Going for a spin?
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to go for a spin then?
Oh, shit, is there a law against it? Or I haven't been up to date, I'll be honest with you, and I don't know if there's a law. I rang your headquarters this morning, I was talking with one of your colleagues there, and I was asking specifically about the laws, and she said she couldn't direct me to any law, and I just told her, you know, I just wanted to be sure in case I wanted to go for a spin or call to my girlfriend or whatever. And she said it's just common sense. I was like, well, once there's no law, I'm happy with it. So.
You're not supposed to know unless it's essential, really.
But if you show me the law that tells me I can't be out, I won't be out. But until then,
you don't. So you don't think it's necessary with public health crisis at the minute that you should follow the guidelines?
Going for a spin? No, I don't see any problem with that. There's nobody in the car, as you can see. You're the closest person I've spoke to since I started my drive. I might go for a walk. Well, I'll call to my girlfriend's house as well, but you know.
You're supposed to be walking 2 kilometers from your house.
Look, as I say, if there's a law against it, I won't do it. But until that point, I'm entitled to do it, so I'm going to keep doing it. Thank you.
Interesting. Eh? What say you, live chat? Throw out your comments, your witticisms. Let's have a ritty read. Watching from Wicklow, the Dublin Mountains, like a hawk. Absolutely, because there's huge masts going up around the mountains. Huge. Well, look, we'll get into that. We will get into that straight away. Nothing else to report there. I think we've got all through there this morning. A little bit of humor, but that gentleman there shows us the way indeed. What law indeed am I breaking, or what legislation can you point me to? So this just in tonight from the journal.ie, and should be of concern to most everybody here tonight. Let me throw it up there. We're just experiencing a little bit of lag again. Please bear with as I bring up the screen. From the journal, Aidan O'Whalan reports from the journal.ie, a Dublin-based company has claimed that the High Court, the HSE, has failed to honour a contract for the provision of 350 medical ventilators to treat those who contracted COVID-19. Naruma Limited, which provides various services to the pharmaceutical and life science industry, claims that late last month it entered into a contract to source and sell intensive care unit medical ventilators for the sum of over 7.4 million to the HSE. However, Naruma claims the HSE has failed to comply with the contract and has not paid it the money, with the result that it cannot provide the HSE with the ventilators. The company says that while the alleged failure to fulfill the contract is damaging to its business and reputation, it also says that the performance of the contract impacts of the health of the nation, particularly those who contract the virus. The swift shipping and delivery of the ventilators, it says, is critically urgent. As a result of the alleged breach, Naruma has sued the HSE. It seeks various orders, including one compelling the HSE to transfer the sums due to Naruma under a contract it claims the parties entered into on 27th of March last. It also seeks orders restraining the HSE from taking any steps to avoid its obligations under the contract, as well as an order preventing the defendant from purchasing similar types of ventilators until the said sums allegedly due under the contract have been paid to Naruma. Matt Jolie, BL for Naruma, said that told the court that one of the services the company provides had helped to source and provide medical devices to healthcare professions. The company, which is based in Swords, County Dublin, also ensures that all items are in full conformity with European health, safety and environment protection regulations. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, the company has been particularly focused on the activity, Council said. Council said that under the agreement, the ventilators were due to be shipped to Ireland from the Far East in 3 tranches between 20th of April and 15th of May. Council said it was also agreed that his client was to be paid by the HSE by the close of business on the 31st of March or the 30th of March last. However, Council said that the money has not been paid, with the result that the ventilators cannot be provided by his client to the HSE. Council said that the undertakings were sought from the HSE that he would abide by the contract, but none have been given. Council also said that correspondence from the HSE after payment delayed had passed, that a new due diligence was being carried out before any payment could be processed. Naruma claims that this was the first time that such due diligence was raised by the defendant. All parties were aware of what was involved in the deal when the contract was entered to, Naruma claims. The explanation given for the non-payment is flawed, is an effort to delay and frustrate the performance of what it says is a binding contract between the parties. The matter will return before the court later this week. Interesting, don't you think? Interesting. And I mean, for not making the payments, I mean, another slip of the tongue. Who is the health minister, I wonder? Oh, that's right. He who must be obeyed. D-boy. Well, we'll keep an eye on that and we'll see what the outcome of that is. The Examiner reporting about the uptake of defence forces, retiree defence forces. And we'll read from the Irish Examiner first by Sean O'Riordan from the Irish Examiner. Let's bear in mind the title of tonight's show. This might have something to do with it. This is how it's portrayed. Actually, I'll go up to the full layout there. Nearly 500 former members of the Defence Forces have applied to rejoin the military to aid the fight against COVID-19. Only days after government pleaded for former veterans to rejoin, the Defence Forces confirmed that they have already received 464 applications from former enlisted troops and officers. Cathal Berry, an independent TD and former second in command of the Elite Army Wing Ranger Wing, said the response goes to show that loyalty and patriotism to the state are in the DNA of anybody who has served in the Defence Forces. It shows the patriotism and the professionalism of the veteran population, said Mr. Berry. They want to help in this time of crisis and to do their bit for the country. The level of interest being expressed by these people is inspiring, uplifting, and reassuring. It is further proof, as if any was needed, of the commitment to the country of everybody who has ever served in the Defence Forces. Mr. Berry said it's a huge shame that more was not to be done to keep them within the Defence Forces in the first place, as many had left for better pay and conditions in the private sector. A record 850 personnel quit the Defence Forces last year, and its current strength is 8,600, around 1,000 less than the minimum strength agreed by the government. However, a number of experts estimate that the minimum strength should be 10,500. The applications will be assessed by the Chief of Staff, Vice Admiral Mark Mellett, and his senior officers. He who likes to throw the Defence Forces out on any parade and will throw a rainbow over any Defence Forces uniform. They will then draw up a list of people they want to re-enlist, and which will be presented to the Minister of State with responsibility for Defence, Paul Keogh. In particular, the Defence Forces want to re-recruit people who will fill vacancies which have emerged in a number of specialist areas in recent years. These include marine officer engineers and engineering technicians for the Naval Service, aircraft technicians, pilots and communications telecoms experts. It is hoped that the badly needed marine engineers who went to work with the cruise liner industry will be among those who have applied to re-enlist. The crew of L'Etienne, which is docked at Albert Quay, Cork, are transporting medical supplies for the HSE while awaiting a possible call-up as a COVID-19 testing centre. Le Neve is acting as a test centre on John Rogerson's Quay, Dublin, while the William Butler Yeats performs a similar task in Galway. The Army has set up tents outside hospitals and at testing centres in Cork, Galway and Kilkenny, while it has also sent its own ambulance crews to bolster the National Ambulance Service in Cork, Dublin and Kildare. Officer cadets are helping the HSE to trace contracts of concurrent COVID-19 patients, while an Army medical officer has joined the HSE Doctor on Call service. Meanwhile, a number of reserve Defence Forces are helping to fill gaps in the ranks of the permanent Defence Forces, and several veterans organisations have members who are acting as volunteers, blah, 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 blah. So they painted in a good light is what we get from that there. And Cathal Berry TD notes that anybody that has served in the Defence Forces, nay, any military, brings its allegiance to its nation state, and patriotism comes forward. But what is this, I hear you say? This, you say, from Senator G. Crowell, he of Labour, and I presume a former member of the Defence Forces. He calls bullshit on the article. Let's see what he says as we wait for the lag to disappear. Just give it 1 second there, live chat. Bit of a freeze. Bit of a block. And zip up. We're back. Let's throw this up for you here. Senator G. Crowell tweeted out earlier on to Crowell, the treatment of the Defence Forces veterans in the fight against COVID-19 is yet another further example of the total lack of respect which exists in Merrion Street for all things related to military service. It only took 50-odd years to recognise Jadotville. Disgusting. And this is in relation to, I think Kev Phipps pops this up. Hopefully it pops up without too much of a lag. But the PDFs, essentially what they're saying is that the HSE frontline staff, those repairing HSE and prison staff, have exemptions from the pension abatement. But Defence Forces, no exemption. So Defence Force scheme versus unattractive to retirees. Yet again, Defence Forces treated worse than any other state bodies. I think effectively it's saying that if any of the veteran members of the Defence Forces want to re-enlist and help out the nation in this great state, it will affect their pensions. So they are putting a blocker in the way of those willing to participate and shore up the numbers of the Defence Forces and help out in any way they can. Why do they keep reducing our armed forces and demoralising them at every opportunity? Maybe it's with the PESCO. The PESCO have offered our troops to serve abroad. So those that stay here will claim their ordinary basic wage, but those that serve up and sign PESCO in various engagements throughout Europe and throughout the world at the behest of Brussels will get an extra remuneration. So do you want to stay in the Defence Forces and serve your country, or are you going to serve Brussels, but you're not being paid back home? But if you go and do a wartime engagement for Brussels and maybe patrol the streets of foreign lands, you will be given a Brucey bonus. Between a rock and a hard place, I say, between a rock and a hard place. Yet again, our Defence Forces are called upon, and they do it voluntarily. I know many ex-servicemen that have voted and gone and volunteered in their local communities to assist and help wherever they can. Props to all our frontline warriors. Again, doctors, nurses, technicians, cleaners, all of you Dengians that are out there doing your bit. You all deserve recognition. And indeed, it's duly noted and hat-tipped. Okay. There was that thing from the New York doctor. Okay, so tomorrow morning, I hope, and I'm pretty sure, I will have Jaden and Daryl from the Great Australian Party, GAP. And we've rescheduled it, and they will be with us at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is 6 o'clock in the evening for them. How you doing? Fair dinkum from down under. And we will talk with them in the morning, all things Commonwealth Constitution. We'll hopefully Daryl can bring up what we were talking about, the piston engine and their refinement and reducing the carbon or the CO2 exhaust fumes from parts per million to parts per billion, which I thought was fantastic. And also their call of usage of the hemp plant to bring the hemp back in all its forms to help out and revitalize indigenous manufacturing. So look out for them. Also on the back, that SGT, I don't know how many of you have watched the SGT and Brandy Wells interview on SGT. Are you paying attention to what's happening in South Africa at the moment, live chat? 1 for yes. Did you see the video with SGT? And 2 for no, please. Let's hear you roar. Let's hear you speak. Susie, what's wrong with our skies? I've been saying that the COVID-19 is a hope, man. Let's see what you get. We all have to stand up. How many of you in the live chat have have seen SGT's report with Brandy Wells, the very ever cognizant and present, Brendy Wells. I've spoken with Brendy. There's a lot of twos in there, yeah. So effectively what Brendy was saying on on SGT last night, or on when I last viewed it, is that the South African government are introducing what's called Operation Chariot. And it's under the guise that Brendy feels that an imminent genocide is about to be perpetrated against the white South African farmers down there. I've been in contact with Sean. I've invited Sean. Sean will squeeze me in when he gets a chance. Sean from SGT. I'm looking forward to speaking with him on many different topics and subjects. And I'm also in contact with Brendy as well. But I thought I'd reach out to Simon Roach. You know that we've interviewed Simon twice before. And Simon has agreed to come on the show on Thursday morning. So we will get our own bird's eye view on the ground of what's happening. But the military has been deployed in South Africa. And they have been emboldened. Latest, one of their generals that spoke out on deployment said that they will follow every order that is issued without question. Without question. And we already know, PATCOM 101, I agree. We know that the murder rate has been astronomical against the white South African farmers, primarily because it's been the white South African farmers that are being murdered and slaughtered under the watch of Cyril Ramaphosa. So look out for that Thursday morning. We will have Simon Roach back on, and also our Antipodean friends from down under, Jaden and Daryl will be on with us in the morning, bright and early. So make sure you're around for that. Looking forward to speaking with the guys again. And CHD, the statement department. Where is that? Oh, I don't want to get to that there. Bear with there. I'm after losing a article I want to bring up on 5G. I'll have it here in my history folder, but let me just bring it up while I peruse to you. A lot of twos in there, so I do recommend that you do go and read, or you go view the Brendy Wells. It's if not just for your own to understanding that there is a possible genocide about to be perpetrated in South Africa. They are 25 years ahead of us. What's been happening in South Africa is the inception of communism through Nelson Mandela, and I have perpetually blamed the white South African farmers for the apartheid system. Absolutely nothing could be further from the truth, but the constant race baiting over there now is reaching a tumultuous point. And indeed, we must focus our attention. We've often reached out over there. So please tune in to View with Simon, and please go and inform yourself on SGT's channel in regards with the Brendy Wells. Okay, let's jump in with this article. Now, this has got a bit of sauce to it. This is a bit soupy with the language. It's scientific, but it's from scientists for fiber, which means essentially these scientists are advocating for the fiber system to be put in place underground. But as we'll see, as we'll go through this, I'll do my best to get through it as quick as I can. And with a date, we're not all going to get to it. I just want to read it out too. I think it's important for those of us that are, those of you that are doing your 5G research your own self. I point you to this article, and what I will do is I will drop it into the live chat now a couple of times, so you can have it. Those of you in the live chat, moderators, if you want to copy and paste and just throw it out every now and again. This article. Oh, not that one there. I don't know what that one is there, but that's not the article. Let me see. That was a YouTube clip. That was from the doctor. How did that come up? Please bear with. Let me see. Where do I refresh? Refresh. Exciting. Actually, I'll read it out and I'll get to it. I'll bring it up because we're only burning through time. That's from the doctor in New York I was looking at earlier on, that YouTube connection. So let's bring this up here and we'll get through it as quick as you like. I want you to see the charts on it as well. Right, we begin. This from Shigeaki Shea Hakusui, President, Harmonix Corporation, April the 10th. Now, this is from 2001. But it's a bit thick in information, but I want to get through it with you for an understanding. Anyway, the demand of the bandwidth is growing at a rapid pace. International data from corporation projects that internet commerce in the United States will grow from 74 billion in 1999 to 708 billion in 2003, with the number of computer users more than doubling from 81 million to 177 million in the US alone. Due to the tremendous expected growth, reliable fiber optic networks must be installed quickly. Short haul. High density deployments of wireless communication devices are required in the metropolitan areas and business parks throughout the United States. Most often, office buildings, though not physically linked to the fiber backbone, are within 1/2 mile of a local fiber trunk. Wireless communication devices operating at higher frequencies, such as 60 gigahertz, allow businesses to link to the fiber easily without the cost and time delays associated with the physical fiber installation. This is what their drive is. This is the cheaper version of getting what they want, but with the output of the radiation, the microwaves on that spectrum, it does, if you follow along with your research and go to the peer-reviewed, it does inhibit molecular or cellular morphology. So it does have an adverse effect on the body, as they have noted in the 58 to 72 gigahertz range, and it was very much the last piece of information. It does, however, inhibit cellular morphology. So if this thing is affecting the body in some way, shape, or form, as we do know, I do not consent. So this here, the little chart, I'll bring it up and zoom in a little bit. At the 60 gigahertz rate, it's a 98% of energy absorbed by O2, oxygen, at 60 gigahertz. So it does have an effect. The oxygen also assists the short burst waves to travel easy through the oxygen, but it does affect the O2 at the molecular level. So it does change oxygen, or it does provide it on the spectrum links, but we'll let the article read through it. Figure 1 is the dry atmospheric absorption per kilometer. Due to the increased bandwidth demands and the scarcity of microwave frequency allocations, the wireless communications industry is beginning to focus on higher, previously unallocated portions of the spectrum in the millimeter wave frequencies from 40 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. So they've opened up a huge lines on the spectrum for themselves, and rather transfer down to wire fiberology. They are going to beam the spectrum out through short transmitters. Now, it'll all get apparent, and I won't jump off. Let's get through it, sorry. Due to the high levels of atmospheric RF, radio frequency energy absorption, the millimeter wave region of the RF spectrum is not usable in long-haul wireless communication segments. However, for short-haul, i.e. the last mile, this is the thing that corporations are trying to get over before they have to make huge expenditure segments. The expanded RF data bandwidth available in the millimeter wave region makes it possible for high-speed connectivity. Figure 1 illustrates the atmospheric absorption for millimeter wave frequencies. At the millimeter wave frequency of 60 gigahertz, the absorption is very high, with 98% of the transmitted energy absorbed by atmospheric oxygen. I'll just touch back in with you to that chart there. It's 98% energy absorbed out of the oxygen that surrounds it as it travels through. That allows for it to travel easier and uninterrupted, even through rainfall and storms. But I digress. The benefit of oxygen absorption relative to frequency reuse is detailed in Figure 2. Figure 2 illustrates the distance relationship between the 60 gigahertz frequency reuse range, the green region, and the traditional range, the blue region. Oxygen absorption makes possible the same frequency reuse within a very localized region of airspace. Operation within the 60 gigahertz millimeter wave spectrum enables very dense, interference-free deployment of the same frequency radio terminals. So essentially the radio frequency or the terminals are able to piggyback on these high density waves, but as they travel through, they absorb the energy from the oxygen that surrounds it, transmitting the signal quicker and cleaner. But what's it doing to the cellular cells? As we know, it inhibits the cell's morphology. It's not quite clearly stated. Figure 2, frequency reuse source, FCC Bulletin 78. And you remember that we read from the Children's Health Defense from Robert F. Kennedy's that they have now got them to put their safety limits that they've never publicized through all of this time that they now have to put the ledger down, which will then enable them to be opened up to lawsuits where they haven't been previously been opened up to lawsuits in the United States. So it's a huge victory going forward. But they are installing the generators and the poles as we speak under the test license. And as yet, we still don't even know the full-term effects of 4G. So we will not get any sort of clear indications of effects as they happen, but they will have to be accounted for and see if there's patterns and research done on it. Traditional wireless communications operating in the lower frequency ranges of 600 megahertz to 40 gigahertz often interfere with each other when placed too closely together. This interference, due to the dispersion and uncontrolled propagation of radio frequency energy through the atmosphere, is minimized by FCC frequency coordination, licensing, and through the implementation of interference avoidance techniques such as spread spectrum modulation. FCC licensing precludes dense deployment through the limited number of regional licenses granted, and spread spectrum techniques have proven only marginally effective as the overall noise floor has risen. So the background noise, kind of noise that disrupts and interferes with the signal, and you get that loss in transmission of a video call and stuff like that. This is what's happening on the 4G straight line. But this one is just going to flood the area as it travels through, affecting the oxygen particles in the air as it beams out. Weather conditions have an adverse effect on all RF transmission, especially in millimeter wave region, where severe rainstorms can cause as much as 20 decibels loss in signal strength for every kilometer of transmission. As the distance the radio transmission increases, the fade margin needed to compensate for weather effects increases proportionately. Since radios operating at 60 gigahertz transmit only over short distances, the compensation for weather effects is not as great for systems transmitting 1 kilometer and beyond. At 60 gigahertz, the extremely high atmospheric absorption level is due primarily to the molecular composition of the atmosphere. Figure 3, which we'll scroll down to now in a minute, illustrates the atmospheric attenuation characteristics for wavelengths from 3 centimeters to 0.03 millimeters. For millimeter waves, the primary absorption molecules are H2O, water, O2 and CO2, carbon dioxide, and O3. Since the presence of O2 is fairly consistent at ground level, so we know that closer to the ground, oxygen is a lot more dense as it rises up, it thins out, but at the levels that the towers are going in, it's able to absorb the energy as it transmits through. In addition, the high level of attenuation from the oxygen absorbent makes even the worst weather-related attenuation insignificant. So this thing will not be affected by stormy weathers. It will beam and broadcast without interference, especially on the shore paths where 60 gigahertz systems operate. Even extremely heavy rainfall, 25 millimeters per hour, will make only a very small percentage contribution to aggregate attenuation in the 60 gigahertz oxygen absorption region. Now, I've been looking at this over and over again, and I'll leave it there for you to gauge through. You may want to pause it later on if you want to have a read through, and I will drop the link into the live chat as well. But it's between the submillimeter area where the high O2, like on the left-hand side is the range, is in kilometers as it affects, and as it pushes out on the spectrum, 3 centimeters, 3 millimeters, 100 terahertz, it's hard to decipher. But I leave it out there for you to read through and pause through and see if figure 3, the atmospheric attenuation characteristics for wavelengths between 3 centimeters to 0.03 millimeters. It continues. Currently, the Federal Communications Commission, this FCC, has allocated the millimeter wave RF spectrum from 57.05 to 64 gigahertz for unlicensed use under Part 15. Now, we have something similar. It's not licensed yet. It's still under test license. This is why I keep drawing your attention to it. Once certified, the product can be deployed license-free throughout the United States. This unlicensed frequency spectrum allows the end user to avoid the added cost of regional spectrum auctions held by the FCC or competition for limited numbers of license bands. So every now and again, they offer out these frequencies and they all have to bid for it, and it costs them money. Boo-hoo. 60 gigahertz communication systems can be used for a wide variety of applications, including metropolitan area networks, campus networks, i.e. colleges, network backbones for corporations, and network branch links, and temporary emergency restoration and local access. The scientists for wire technology leave this comment at the end. Yet, 60 gigahertz communication never proliferated from 2001, the year this self-serving article was written, to the present, February 2020. Why? Millimeter wave frequency stuck at long distance propagation, and no one, and I mean no one, wants wireless telecommunication facilities installed in their neighborhoods because people want to have the right to the quiet enjoyment of our streets and our homes without effective radiated power polluting the environments where we live, play, eat, sleep, and heal. So I will drop that into the link there. I know it's thick on the sauce, but from 2001 they were kind of lauding it out that it is coming and that this will save you the many millions and billions from having to dig underground wired infrastructures at an exponential cost. So while we're going to roll this out under test license, it's going to happen. It's going to happen anyway. So I leave that there for you to digest and peruse. Let me see if I can throw out the link once again before we sign off. Let me go here. Let me go here. Let me copy that. And welcome, Dermot Poseidon, new channel fan, new channel member joins us. Thank you very much for joining, Dermot. Let me just throw this link out into the live chat so you can have a read through it yourself, those that want to. There's one. Boom. There's two. Any wrenches or spanners in the live chat, please tag on this and just drop it out every now and again in case anybody misses it. But it's in the live chat as we speak. Okay. The point to that, you say, is, well, I was trying that in conjunction with the Children's Health Defence League, with their process having been successful in now getting the FCC to publish, in essence, to publish what is the minimum safety requirements that it expects, because it never really relates to them figures. And then we know that these various organizations, these various communications technology giants are indeed rolling these out under unlicensed facilities. So a great many of us are going to be damaged. Not everyone's going to be zapped by it, but we are walking around in a more polluted environment than we've ever had before. And primarily, without any discussion, without any real leadership, the hooligans of this being wrapped up now in COVID-19 and all that jazz, there's been no clear explanation or no denial or affirmation to taking questions from journalists. Does it, as it says in any of the peer-reviewed examinations, does it inhibit molecular morphology? What does that mean? If it inhibits something in my body or in the human body, I don't think it's going to be beneficial. It's beneficial to huge corporations that they can piggyback and use up the bandwidth, getting more and more information as we get strapped up to huge data bank centers that we have. Will you stop that, Steve? I don't believe that. I'm not going to read that comment out. I don't disbelieve you, but that's not a comment I think I'm going to throw out. Let's look at this before we jump away from all things. Don't forget that Judicial Watch has got permission now to interview Hillary Clinton under oath. The first time in all of this madness, she has to testify under oath about the emails, the deleted emails that were in her possession. So there are prosecutions going on that we can effectively see. But as we know, and as you would expect, the Clintons are not without the shekels and will be able to fight this off for some time to come. So I don't envisage or imagine that it will happen anytime soon. But it's interesting to note that Judicial Watch are still following up on the WikiLeaks information of the missing 33,000 emails. And yes, we are paying attention to the underground or the silent war that's going on as well. Thank you very much, O'Crooks. Appreciate the Snapchat. Appreciate that. We do know that there are different machinations going on the road, but let's focus on what's happening in front of our eyes. There has to be a serious call out of the 5G and its acceptable tolerance levels on the spectrum at 60 gigahertz. What does it mean? The oxygen absorption is beneficial for the 5G waves, but it's inhibiting something in the human body. I need more clarity. Live chat, if any of you members are out there are way up to date, I'm open to correction. DJ Spiral, if you're continuing down that fiery path, appreciate you. And thank you for joining the Instagram. Appreciate that. Thank you for the follow. I'm going to read this article out here and then we will boogie on live chat. But it's interesting to note that sorry about that. The State Department on Monday rejected Hillary Clinton's effort to avoid depositions for herself and her former chief of staff in a lawsuit brought by the government watchdog organization Judicial Watch. The former Secretary of State and her former top aide, Cheryl Mills, are seeking a writ of mandamus to avoid a judge's order requiring their testimony in an open records case involving Clinton's use of a private email server for government business. The government did not seek and thus does not support the extraordinary relief of mandamus due to the unique circumstances of this case, reads the State Department's response signed by multiple members of the Justice Department. One aspect of the district court's ruling, although not central to the pending petition, is of particular concern to the government. Assertions that the government acted in bad faith in litigating this Freedom of Information request are wholly without bias or basis, the department's response says. U.S. District Court Judge Royce C. Lambert in the early March granted the request to depose Clinton about why she utilized a private email server, her grasp of state records management obligations, and any information she has about materials pertaining to the 2012 Benghazi attack. Yes! Clinton and her former chief of staff later in March sought a writ of mandamus from the Court of Appeals to avoid having to sit for depositions. Clinton has long come under scrutiny for her use of private email server while serving as the Secretary of State. And just in related articles, ex-Republican Duncan Hunter was sentenced to 11 months in jail for misuse of campaign funds. Now I, along with many others, I don't care what she gets done with. I don't care. We know a lot more. We know about the laptop. We know all about that. There is evidence of prosecutions, of recordings of crimes against children. It's out there. That's public information. Just charge her. Charge her with something. Traffic accident, jaywalking. Just charge her with something. How she's evaded prosecution for so long is absolutely unbelievable. Okay, live chat. I think I've run through the mill. The 5G, just follow up on a little bit more. I'm still digging around. But please bear in mind that the COVID-19, I am certainly not of the opinion that 5G and Corona are somehow connected because of the overlay, the showing of coronavirus cases and their population throughout the country, and indeed the 5G. The two are two separate entities. They have two correlating paths and trajectory, but are affected by two different things. But the 5G is empowerment, as indeed COVID-19 is a killer. It is a killer, and it is out there. And we must do everything within our powers. But this needs to be questioned while we can. Okay, live chat. And I'm pretty sure now that my fridge keeps saying, every time I go to my fridge is kind of moaning and going, oh, what do you want now? What do you want? Every time I go near it, it's kind of giving out to me. I keep coming back to it. Oh my God, I have eaten. Oh my God, that's shocking. I've only ever seen posts from Katie Hawkins last year on Twitter. Okay, a separate conversation. So my nuts there, sharing out that article there in case if any of you has missed it. Okay, I think that's enough from me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Long, pretty long day. I hope you enjoyed the weather over here. Please enjoy the pink moon that is above our heads tonight. And again, special salutations to all of you here in the live chat and to you, lady. Always big shout out to lady. She's always watching. So let's. I'm going to sign off tonight early, and I've got to get up early and touch base with Jaden and Daryl and get the links and get the system set up. But please do tune in the morning. I'm quite looking forward to that one there, and I hope you are too as well. As we keep this cycle of events going, while we are housebound, I intend to try and keep these up for as much as I can and try and bring you all the few bits and pieces that I think are available. Do please check out on all the YouTube content creators. Garrod is doing some great work. Keith, The Green Room, Betwixt, On For More, The Last True Gale. Anybody else also watch them with Computing Forever. His post there today. If we are going to acquiesce and allow the jackboot to keep standing above us, you've seen that patriot out there today. Just question authority. You are within your means to travel around. Not saying you should do it. I'm saying you should acquiesce if you need to travel and do it. You are within your rights to move about freely without agitation from On Garda Shia Khan. Are they just acclimating you to this new situation to see how you react, or is it going to go on in perpetuity? I hope not. I, for one, like the great Bull Hansen, I cannot live under a totalitarian, and I will not. I must have my freedom of movement when I want and how I choose to do it. As I'm sure you in the live chat are also of the same mindset as myself. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens, patrons, this thing of ours is coming to a conclusion. Let us please read out your thoughts, comments, and witticisms, but where you are in the world, because it's my favorite part of the day. I really do look forward, like where I can get up and seeing you in the morning and then joining you then in the evening for these disquisitions in these chats. I don't want to get up and all the in-house fighting, shall we say. Doesn't affect me. Not now. We don't need that now. Not now. It ain't happening. So let's have a sign off. Where you are, your age, and we shall just hit the road, and we'll see you again in the morning. Siobhan Murphy, still 21. Justin Kulaks, thanks GT. My pleasure. Net As Sasuj. Susie Q says, thanks, Elizabeth. Okay, Astro, I'm thanking you. Are you covering the RT video? I'll have a look at it later on, Steve. I'm not going to do it now. I'll have a look at it and maybe report on it in the morning. Steve is talking about the Russian Times video. I'll check it out. Island Hopper, give me liberty or give me death. Shani Mack is in Kilkenny. Sheepdog says, open minds. New South Wales, Australia, made from Tam, Australia. We've got Cork Boy from Colette Boland, Brian Bourne, Costa del Finglas. Love it. Hairbear Ryan, Paul Ryan, 52. Brother. Absolutely. Good to see you, Paul. EJF. Also, thank you for the moderation. Jared Foley, fight. Liam Fleming, West Cork. James Collins, 38 in Tullamore. Thinking objectively. Fantastic. Vaughan Malone, the Wild West, over the hill. Zoe McKeown, Bristol, and 43. Ciao, Accordia. Bit of Italian, bit of Irish. I like that mixed. Well in there, Zoe. Terence F88, Fermanagh, 31. Fed up with all the fear mongering. I am pretty much fed up with the porn, the fear porn too. Johnny Deplorable, justice is a liberty and not a right. Dublin Bread is dropping a link there for 5G Mass near you. Have a look there. Click on that link. Open Minds is in London, mate. In it, 47. You only had to blow the bloody doors off, wouldn't it, mate? Bloody you. Davy O'Brien, I hope I'm pronouncing that. Super psychopaths trying to rule us. Doug Tuis is in Offaly, 43. And Dnipro lets us know that the pink moon is best viewed at 3 a.m. tonight, hopefully without cloud interference. Thank you for that, patron. Thank you very much for that tip. As I stroll back through, a great number there. But I don't want to miss anything. Super Psychopaths tip. 48 banged up abroad in sunny Cyprus from Nikki Wright Patru. That didn't come through because of the filter. Susie Kiltard is 58 years old, wife. Thank you very much for that information. Northern California, USA. Hillary Hayter. Get in there, Susie. River Queen. Noreen Lanigan, 50 in Tipperary. And Sarah Folan is, hello, Rowan. Great stream. Galway, 60 plus. God bless. God bless to you as well, Sarah. Take care of yourself, chicken. Martin Murphy is Cork, 42. Hound of the Down, see him on the moon. Kenneth Killian is Galway, 40. Steve O'Kane, still 48. And lots of tears. I'll get to it, Steve. I'll get to it. We'll see. We might cover it. Siobhan Rice is 48 in West Dublin. We've got Sol Mutz is in 1984 land. Cyber Crusader joining us one again, 16. Ennis Clare. Great to have you aboard, Cyber Crusader. Eilish Manning, awfully 57 years young. Natus joins us again. Sorry, Natus. I'm having trouble with that second one. I do apologize. Limerick, 55. Luciano Radmil is in Leash, 32. Bravo, Luciano. Colin Rochford is Colin, 55 in Dublin. Richard Kelly is in Laois, 53. Pamela Muldowney, 39 in Kilkenny. Clue and Amelia, 51 in Tipperary. Emmanuel Godson is in Coolock. Yo, Coolockers. DJ McGrath is in the house. Danny McCarthy, pissed off in Kerry, 61. I know you've got a town hall meeting down there in Kerry, Coruscavine. I know you're going to have a meeting with the council. Be aware that there will be some serious questions asked. And please note in Kerry, they're also opening up the 200 units behind the hotel for the overspill. So make sure that your councillors are aware that not only is the hotel being used, but the 20 apartments are also going to be used up as well. But many of your fellow patriots down there have aware that the information has been passed on. I digress. Susie Q is 45 in Dublin 3. What's your age and your location, Aaron? I can't tell you that, but I'm coming up on the big 5-0 this year. Gregory McGrath, modify ultrasound to a frequency that kills viruses. Interesting. Hounded it down is still 60. New Carmi Ray is 51 in Sneem. Ms. Chime lets us know that my father was in the Congo, 1st Infantry, 1962. Galway girl, Sweden, even older. Thank you for that, Missy Chime. Monty Windsor, Galway, Bud. Streaky Bacon, 370 in dog years in Berkshire. Davy O'Brien says in Kilkenny again. We got you there, buddy. Wand P. Man says not too old yet, but Dublin 5 Patriot. Thank you for that, Wand. Chris John Wright. Thanks, GT. Chris from Wales, 33. The Tigers Bay is back in the house. The Tigers Bay lets us know if I can catch it because it's jumped off again. I'll come back to you, Tigers Bay. Mark Brown is West Cork, 47. And what's wrong? Open Minds. John on 95 is Dublin bred. TT, 60% of Italian wants out of the EU. Marches on. And the Sheepdogs remind us that it's the LGBTQ moon tonight. Keep your eye out at 3 a.m. in the morning. It does seem to become more visible then. Hopefully we won't have too much cloud cover. Okay, Dangins. Okay, Patriots. I shall see you in the morning. Thanks for joining me here tonight. I hope you had a good time. Thanks for the conversation. Please, before we forget, don't forget, press the like button, press the subscription and the bell, and you'll be reminded of future broadcasts here on the Grand Torino. Also, if you would, don't forget, please consider becoming a member. Also, if you appreciate my work, please consider any of your donations, and the links are in the description box today if you'd like to support my work. Really appreciate your continued support from my Patreon, PayPal, new subscribe star options. Also, those of you that are contributing on the World Wide Web, I do make note to you that please, if you could, become aware, sign up or join up to my BitChute account, because if this channel does get taken down, I will be streaming from my D Live account, which is also listed down there, and I will be uploading to my BitChute account. Should this channel, as we expected, will be removed because what was it? One of the other YouTubes are just getting demonetized. I am regularly demonetized on YouTube. This just isn't paying the bills. This just isn't doing it. So please consider supporting the platform on the many links described down below. But as always, I really appreciate your continued support. And keep safe. Have a great night. And I'll speak to you in the morning.
Wuss.